Can there be anything more enjoyable than strolling through a beautiful garden? The delight in discovery and the pleasure of meeting nature on its own terms makes for a wonderful experience. I'm at the Stony Range Regional Botanic Garden, smack bang in the heart of Sydney's northern beaches at DY. And to think, 60 years ago, this 6-hectare sanctuary of beautiful native plants and amazing sandstone landscapes was actually a disused quarry. And then a remarkable thing happened. A group of botanically switched on locals set about replanting and revegetating the area, creating pathways and gardens of native plants from all over Australia, and in effect, creating the Stony Range Flora Reserve, which was officially opened in 1961. And over the years, those dedicated workers kept at it. And in 2007, Stony Range officially became a regional botanic garden. Today, the garden still relies on the goodwill and effort of its volunteers, some who've been working here for 40 years.
Which is your favourite part of your garden?
It's all my favourite part of the garden.
Right.
Bob Aitken is a link to the history of the gardens. A volunteer for over 20 years, he's delighted in the garden's continued growth.
Come from England to see it.
I love that you've kept the pathways natural here.
Well, this is the part of the bush that people have got to experience. Not concrete paths all the time. We want them to feel, you know, the earth underneath them.
How did you get started here?
Well, I got started many years ago. I still am a bushwalker, and we came in here and did a bushwalk, and I looked at this place and I thought, well, this is worth saving.
So, how many volunteers are there here, in all?
At the moment, we have 21 volunteers, all different ages. We've had people here who have been volunteering for 40 years in this place, and, of course, new people coming and going all the time.
OK, a bit of smoke water, which makes them think they've survived a fire, which always seems to make germination much better.
We propagate our own plants here, and we have quite an active group in the nursery who work there. There's about 4 people work in the nursery, which are kept going full-time.
This is the Sydney Sandstone area. It's a classic. We've got some of the most impoverished soils in the world, yet they give rise to some of the most beautiful plants, like this fuchsia heath, Epacris longiflora. It'll grow on the sniff of an empty fertiliser bag, along with spider-flowered grevilleas, flannel flowers, and on the sandstone formations, there are a couple of different types of rock orchids. And up on the ridge, there's a newly created grassland area. It's populated by native grasses as well as grass-like plants such as dianellas and kangaroo paws. With the gardens being set on a steep and rocky site, it affords an abundance of different microclimates, and I want to explore them all. This rainforest walk was once a wasteland of weeds, things like lantana and privet absolutely choking the area, but decades of work have turned it into a verdant, emerald green rainforest, chock full of really interesting species. And what about this little gem? This is the powder puff lily pilly from the rainforests of northern New South Wales. Not only does it get this spectacular flower, it has brightly coloured new growth as well. This is another fabulous volunteer project. It's called Federation Cascades, constructed in 2001 to commemorate 100 years of Federation. It's actually an old stormwater drain, and all the water goes down into a pond and it's recycled to create a waterfall, which then creates this wonderful microclimate. and we've got a whole swag of different ferns that have naturalised themselves here. It's just a wonderful example of what you can do with an area that was totally devastated. It's always heartwarming to see what a dedicated bunch of gardeners can do when they put their minds to it. And this is a classic example. Here amongst the hustle and bustle of suburbia, they've created a little oasis of Australian flora. Come and discover.